The lights flickered on the training vessel horizon as Olivia Mason steadied her breathing. Her classmates looked to her for guidance as the ship shuddered again. At 17, she was the youngest cadet to lead a training mission, but nobody questioned her authority. They all knew who her father was. "Secure the bridge," Olivia said, her voice calm despite the chaos. "Ellis, get communications back online. Brady, check the weapon systems." A loud explosion rocked the ship, throwing several cadets to the floor. Olivia kept her balance with practiced ease. "That's not an engine malfunction," she muttered, moving to the main console. Her fingers flew across the controls, bringing up the external cameras. What she saw made her blood freeze. A sleek black vessel with strange angular protrusions was attached to their hull. It wasn't human-made, and it definitely wasn't friendly. "We're being boarded," Olivia announced. "Everyone, remember your training. Get to the escape pods now." "What about you?" asked Cadet Ellis, fear clear in her eyes. "I'll initiate the distress protocol and follow you," Olivia replied, already knowing she was lying. Someone had to slow down whatever was coming aboard. "Go!" As her classmates rushed from the bridge, Olivia unlocked the weapons cabinet and grabbed a pulse rifle. She'd been handling weapons since she could walk. Her father had made sure of that, despite her mother's objections. Jack Mason, the ghost, the most feared human in the galaxy. Her father. Olivia positioned herself near the main entrance to the bridge, her back to the wall, rifle ready. She could hear strange clicking sounds coming from the corridor. The universal translators built into the ship's systems were trying to decode the language but failing. The door slid open, and Olivia fired 3 precise shots. 2 figures fell, but 3 more pushed forward. They were tall, with gray skin that seemed to shimmer like oil on water. Their eyes were large and completely Vextari. Her father had told her about them, arms dealers who had profited from both sides during the Rigelian Wars. Olivia dropped 2 more with clean shots to the center mass before her rifle was knocked from her hands by some invisible force. She immediately transitioned to hand combat, her moves fluid and deadly just as her father had taught her. But there were too many. For every Vextari she disabled, 2 more appeared. Still, she fought with everything she had, determined not to be taken without exacting a heavy toll. When they finally subdued her, 6 of their kind lay unmoving on the floor. Olivia's right eye was swollen shut, and blood trickled from her lip, but her gaze remained defiant. The tallest Vextari approached, studying her with those unsettling black eyes. "The offspring of the ghost fights well," it said, the translator finally working. "Yes, you will serve our purpose." Olivia spat blood at the alien's feet. "My father will hunt you to the edge of the universe." The Vextari's mouth stretched into what might have been a smile. "We are counting on it." Jack Mason was tending to his crops when the military transport landed in his field, crushing a row of vegetables. He didn't react, just continued working the soil with his hands. Farming was therapeutic after a lifetime of war. The dirt under his fingernails reminded him he was creating life now, not taking it. Admiral Kate Wright approached alone, her uniform pristine despite the dusty planet. She'd aged since he'd last seen her, gray streaking her blonde hair, new lines around her eyes. War did that to people. So did peace, just differently. "Jack," she said, stopping a respectful distance away. "You're ruining my tomatoes, Kate," he replied without looking up. "I wouldn't be here if it wasn't important." Jack sat back on his heels, finally looking at her. His eyes were still the same intense blue that could make hardened soldiers look away. "The Alliance swore they'd leave me alone. That was the deal." Kate handed him a datapad. "It's Olivia." Something shifted in Jack's expression, subtle but profound. He wiped his hands on his pants before taking the pad. As he read, his body became perfectly still, the way a predator freezes before a strike. The pad showed footage from the horizon, Olivia fighting the Vextari, taking down 6 before being overwhelmed. Then a message. "The ghost created a legacy. We will discover its secrets." Jack handed the pad back to Kate, his movements controlled and precise. "When?" 18 hours ago. The other cadets made it to the escape pods. Olivia stayed behind to give them time. Kate paused. She's your daughter, through and through. Jack stood, brushing dirt from his knees. He was still fit despite being, in his 50s, his body honed by decades of combat and hard work. The Alliance response. Official channels are pursuing diplomatic solutions. The Vextari have technically committed an act of war, but the politicians are afraid of escalation. And unofficially? Kate's expression hardened. Unofficially, I'm here. The horizon was my responsibility. Jack nodded once, then walked toward his small house without another word. Kate followed at a distance. She watched as he approached a small shed behind the house. It was the only structure on the property with a high-tech security system. Jack placed his palm on the scanner, then his eye. The door slid open, revealing darkness within. I'll need a ship, he said, his voice different now, harder, colder, something fast. I brought the Valkyrie, best scout ship in the fleet. For the first time, a hint of a smile touched Jack's lips. Still looking out for me, Kate? Someone has to, she replied. The Alliance doesn't know what you're capable of. Not really. I was there on Rigel Prime. I saw what you did to those who took your team. Jack disappeared into the shed. When he emerged minutes later, he was carrying a metal case. He'd changed from farming clothes into a simple black utility suit. Only Kate would recognize it as a highly modified version of Special Forces armor, designed to look unassuming. The Vextari think they know who I am, Jack said, walking past her toward the landed transport. They don't have a clue. Kate fell, into step beside him. The ghost has been retired for 15 years. Are you sure you can still do this? Jack stopped and turned to her, his blue eyes now glacial and distant. The farmer was gone, replaced by something that made even Kate, a decorated admiral, take a step back. I never stopped being the ghost, Kate. I just stopped charging for it. He resumed walking. Now it's personal. Aboard the transport, 3 Alliance soldiers snapped to attention as Jack entered. They'd heard the stories but had never believed them. One look at Jack Mason's face changed their minds. Set course for the Alliance outpost in the Centauri system, Kate ordered. Priority clearance. As the transport lifted off, Jack opened his case and began checking his equipment with methodical precision. The Vextari wanted the ghost, he said quietly. They're about to get him. The Valkyrie cut through space like a knife, its engines pushed beyond safety limits. Inside, Jack Mason sat in the co-pilot's seat, eyes fixed on the star map. His fingers tapped a rhythm on the armrest, the only sign of the storm brewing within him. The tracking data from the horizon puts the Vextari ship heading toward the outer rim, Kate said, watching him carefully. But they could have changed course after disabling the tracker. Jack nodded once. They didn't. How can you be sure? Because I know where they're going. Jack manipulated the star map, zooming in on a section of space marked as uninhabited. Here, the Sigma cluster. Kate frowned. There's nothing there, just dead systems and asteroid fields. Exactly. Jack's voice was flat, emotionless. Perfect place for arms dealers to hide their main base of operations. How do you know this? Kate asked, though she suspected the answer. Jack's eyes remained on the map. Because I found it 15 years ago, during the final push of the Rigelian Wars. I was tracking a shipment of banned weapons, found the Vextari instead. The Alliance has no record of this. A cold smile touched Jack's lips. Some missions never made it into the records, Kate. You know that. Kate studied his profile. What happened when you found them? I left most of them alive. That was my mistake. Jack finally looked at her, his eyes like blue steel. I won't make it again. The ship's communication system chimed, interrupting them. Kate activated it with a touch. Admiral, a young officer appeared on screen. Alliance Command is requesting your immediate return to headquarters. They're aware of your detour. Kate's expression hardened. Tell them I'm investigating a lead on the cadet abduction. They specifically mentioned you're with Jack Mason, ma'am. They're concerned about potential diplomatic incidents. Jack didn't react, his face a mask of calm. But Kate knew better. She'd seen him like this before, during the worst of the war. The quieter he became, the more dangerous he was. Understood, Lieutenant. Relay that I'll return once we've verified the lead. Kate cut the transmission before the officer could protest. She turned to Jack. You know I can't officially help you. Past this point. I know. Jack stood, picking up his case. Drop me at the edge of the Sigma cluster. I'll make my own way from there. Kate looked at him, concern in her eyes. The ghost may have been a legend, but you're still human, Jack. The Vextari will be expecting you. Good. Jack's voice dropped to a near whisper. Fear makes them predictable. In another part of space, Olivia Mason tested the restraints on her wrists for the 20th time. The Vextari had secured her in a cell aboard their ship, with energy, cuffs that burned when she pulled too hard. Her face was bruised, dried blood crusted around her nose, but her eyes remained alert and calculating. The door to her cell slid open. A Vextari entered, taller than the others, with markings on its gray skin that suggested higher rank. Behind it stood 2 guards with weapons ready. The offspring is awake, it said, voice raspy through the translator. Good. Olivia stared directly at the alien, refusing to show fear. If you know anything about my father, you'd be taking me back right now, begging for mercy. The Vextari made a sound that might have been laughter. Your father's reputation is precisely why you are here. It moved closer, studying her with those black, empty eyes. The ghost, the human who single-handedly infiltrated 6 supposedly impenetrable strongholds during the war, who killed the Rigelian Supreme Commander in his own bedroom, surrounded by 50 guards. Then you know you're already dead, Olivia said calmly. The Vextari leader touched a control on its wrist. A holographic display appeared between them, showing the interior of what looked like a fortress. This is our destination, the most secure facility in the Outer Rim. No one has ever breached it. It gestured to the defenses visible on the display. 3 rings of security, automated weapon systems, 200 of our best warriors. Olivia studied the display, memorizing details. Not enough. The Vextari deactivated the display. Perhaps. But we are not fools. We have prepared for the ghost for many years. He will come, yes, he will fight. And when he reaches you, we will have what we need. Which is what? His genetic material, his combat techniques, his mind. The alien's voice took on an eager quality. The perfect warrior to be replicated and sold to the highest bidder. The galaxy will tremble when our clients deploy armies of ghost soldiers. Olivia couldn't help it. She laughed. You really don't understand humans at all, do you? The Vextari tilted its head. Explain. What makes my father the ghost isn't his DNA or his training. It's what you did just now. She leaned forward, her voice dropping. You took his daughter. Something flashed across the alien's face. Doubt, fear. It was gone quickly. Rest, offspring. We arrive at the base in 6 hours. The Vextari turned to leave, then paused. Your father is one human. Formidable, yes, but still just one human against an army. After they left, Olivia closed her eyes and focused on slowing her breathing, just as her father had taught her. She needed to be ready. Because while the Vextari were preparing for the ghost, they had no idea what Jack Mason was truly capable of when his family was threatened. At the edge of the Sigma cluster, Kate Wright watched Jack check his equipment one last time. He'd changed into his combat suit, a form-fitting black material that absorbed light, with strategically placed armor plates that wouldn't restrict movement. The Alliance will disavow any knowledge of this, Kate said, handing him a small device. But this emergency beacon will reach me no matter where you are. Jack pocketed the device without comment. Jack. Kate's voice softened. Olivia is strong. Like you. For a moment his mask slipped, and Kate saw raw fear in his eyes. Not for himself, but for his daughter. Then it was gone. replaced by cold determination. "If I'm not back in 3 days," he said quietly, "tell Lynn I'm sorry." Lynn Mason, his wife. The only person who'd ever truly known the man behind the legend. Kate nodded. "Bring our girl home." Jack stepped into the airlock where a small stealth craft waited. Before the door closed, Kate saw his shoulders straighten, his posture change. The farmer vanished completely, replaced by the specter that had haunted enemy nightmares for decades. The ghost was awake, and the hunt had begun. The mining colony of Veros hung in space like a broken tooth. Once bustling with thousands of workers, it now housed only the desperate and the dangerous. Perfect for someone who didn't want to be found. Jack's small craft docked at an unused maintenance bay. He moved through the shadows of the station, his steps silent, face obscured by a simple breather mask common among the station's inhabitants. No one looked twice at him. On places like Veros, curiosity was dangerous. He entered a bar called The Pit, where the air was thick with smoke and the stench of unwashed bodies. Dozens of species mingled in the dim light, most armed, all dangerous. Jack walked straight to the bar where a four-armed alien was mixing drinks. "I'm looking for Nixara," Jack said quietly. The bartender's upper hands paused. "No one by that name here." Jack placed a credit chip on the counter. The bartender didn't touch it. The last person who asked for Nixara left in pieces. Jack leaned closer. "Tell her the ghost sends regards from Rigel Prime." The bartender's yellow eyes widened, slightly. One of his lower hands took the chip while an upper hand pointed toward a door at the back. Jack found a narrow hallway beyond the door, leading to another door with a scanner. He placed his palm against it, knowing Nixara would have his biometrics on file. The door slid open to reveal a dimly lit room. A tall, blue-skinned Rigelian female sat behind a desk, a scar running from her left eye to her jaw. Her right arm was synthetic from the elbow down, a reminder of their last meeting. "I thought you were dead," Nixara said, her voice deep and rasping. "Not yet." Jack removed his mask. Nixara studied him with large violet eyes. "You look different, without blood on your face. Time changes everyone. Not you, Ghost. You still have death in your eyes." She gestured to a chair. "Sit. Drink?" Jack remained standing. "My daughter has been taken by the Vextari." Nixara's expression didn't change, but her posture tensed. "Then she is already lost." "No." The Rigelian's synthetic hand tapped the desk. "The Vextari do not take prisoners unless they have use for them, and they do not free those they take. I know where they've taken her. I need to know their current security protocols." Nixara laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "You saved my life on Rigel Prime. For that I owe you. But this?" She shook her head. "This is suicide. I'm not asking you to come with me. Good, because I would refuse." Nixara studied him. "But information? That I can provide." She activated a console on her desk. "The Vextari main base is in the Sigma cluster hidden in an asteroid field. 3 layers of security, each deadlier than the last." Jack watched as schematics appeared on the screen. "This is recent. Updated last month. I have business relationships with many species." Jack memorized the layout, focusing on entry points and potential weaknesses. Guard rotations, 4 shifts. Their strongest units man the inner sanctum, where they keep their most valuable possessions. Nixara's eyes narrowed. "Or prisoners," Jack nodded. "Weapon systems? Automated pulse cannons on the outer ring. Manned turrets on the second. The inner sanctum has gravity wells that can crush a human to paste." She paused. "Even you." "Weaknesses?" Nixara's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. "Their arrogance. They believe their fortress impenetrable." She manipulated the display, zooming in on a section of the base. "Here, waste disposal. Minimal security because the surrounding radiation is lethal to most species." "Most," Jack repeated. "Your combat suit might protect you. For a short time. Nixara deactivated the display. You realize they want you to come? This is a trap. I'm counting on it. Nixara studied him for a long moment. The war is over, Ghost. You won. You could contact the Alliance, let them handle this diplomatically. They took my daughter. The simple statement hung in the air between them. Nixara nodded slowly, understanding. During the war, Jack had spared her life when he'd found her protecting Rigelian children. He had recognized then what she recognized. Now some things transcended war and peace. I will give you something else, she said. The name of their leader, Drazkor. She practically spat the word. He supplied weapons to both sides during the war. Weapons that killed millions. Including your family, Jack said quietly. Nixara's synthetic hand clenched. Yes. Jack turned to leave. Thank you. Ghost. Her voice stopped him at the door. If you succeed, make him suffer. In her cell aboard the Vextari ship, Olivia had been counting seconds since their last visit. 5 hours and 17 minutes had passed. They would reach the base soon. She had worked one hand partly free from the restraints, her wrist raw and bleeding from the effort. The Vextari had underestimated her pain tolerance. Her father had made sure of that during her training. Pain is information, he'd told her. Use it, don't be used by it. The ship shuddered slightly. They were docking. Olivia immediately relaxed, her body, and closed her eyes to a slit, her breathing shallow, playing weak and defeated. The door slid open. 2 guards entered, checking her restraints. One spoke to the other in their clicking language. Then they released her from the wall, mount but kept the cuffs active. They roughly pulled her to her feet. Olivia stumbled deliberately, falling against one guard. As he steadied her, she glimpsed the control panel on his wrist, the key to her restraints. She memorized the sequence of symbols she could see. They marched her through the ship to an airlock. Beyond it stretched a massive hangar bay carved from the inside of an asteroid. Dozens of Vextari moved about, along with automated loading machines. Weapons crates lined the walls, confirming their status as arms dealers. The leader, whom she now heard others refer to as Drazkor, waited at the end of the walkway. He wore more elaborate armor than the others, with glowing blue lines tracing patterns across its surface. Welcome to your new home, offspring of the ghost, he said when she was brought before him. You will remain here until your father arrives. Olivia met his gaze steadily. And if he doesn't? Drazkor made that strange, laughing sound again. Then you will serve other purposes. Your combat abilities have value with proper conditioning. Olivia felt a chill at his words but kept her expression neutral. She glanced around, taking in details of the hangar, mapping escape routes, counting guards and weapons. Take her to Containment Chamber 3, Drazkor ordered. Maximum security protocols. As the guards led her away, Olivia's mind was racing. She had seen enough of the base layout to begin forming a plan. Her father had always taught her to be ready to save herself. Never wait for rescue, he'd said. But always be ready to rendezvous. Olivia knew her father was coming. The Vextari knew it too. What they didn't know was that Jack Mason hadn't spent the last 15 years just farming. He had spent it preparing his daughter to be every bit as deadly as himself. The waste disposal tunnel reeked of chemicals and decay. Jack moved through it silently, his combat suit's sensors warning of the radiation levels. He had 90 minutes before exposure would become dangerous, even with protection. He reached a junction where the tunnel split into 3 directions. The middle path led deeper into the base according to Nixara's schematics. Jack placed a small device on the wall, pressed a button, and continued forward. Behind him, the device blinked once before becoming invisible against the tunnel wall. If he needed to retreat quickly, it would emit a pulse that would temporarily blind any pursuers. The tunnel narrowed as he progressed, forcing him to crawl the final 20 meters. A grate blocked his path. Beyond it, Jack could see a dimly lit maintenance room. 2 Vexitari technicians worked at a control panel, their backs to him. Jack waited, perfectly still. 3 minutes passed before one technician left the room. Another, 4 minutes, and the second followed. With practiced precision, Jack removed the grate without making a sound. He slipped into the room and replaced the grate behind him, leaving no evidence of his entry. He accessed the control panel, using the codes Nixara had provided to access the security system. The base schematics appeared on the screen. Jack located the detention level, 3 floors up from his position. He also located the command center, where Drazkor would most likely be. A proximity alert on his suit warned him someone was approaching. Jack moved to a position beside the door, blending into the shadows. A single Vextari entered, focused on a handheld device. It never saw Jack move. A quick strike to a vulnerable point at the base of its skull, and the alien collapsed silently. Jack dragged the unconscious form into a storage cabinet, relieving it of its security badge and weapon. Using the badge, Jack accessed a service lift that would take him closer to the detention level. As the lift rose, he checked his weapons, one last time. The familiar weight of them was comforting, like old friends. The lift stopped. Jack drew in a slow breath, centering himself. When the doors opened, he moved like a ghost. Olivia sat cross-legged on the floor of her cell, eyes closed, appearing to meditate. In reality, she was counting guard rotations and mapping the detention level layout in her mind. 2 guards were stationed outside her cell. They changed shifts every 4 hours. The energy field that served as a door was controlled from a panel 10 meters down the corridor, operated by a 3rd guard. Cameras covered every angle of the hallway. But there was a pattern to the camera, sweeps. A 2-second gap when the corner of her cell wasn't monitored during the automatic system check that happened every hour. Olivia had managed to free herself from the restraints, but kept them loosely on her wrists to maintain the illusion of captivity. She had also palmed a small metal component from the ship during her transfer, working it into a makeshift tool. The next guard rotation would happen in approximately 20 minutes. System check for the cameras would occur 5 minutes after that. It wasn't much of a window, but it might be her only chance. A commotion outside her cell drew her attention. She opened her eyes slightly, careful to maintain her meditative pose. The guards were speaking rapidly in their language, gesturing at something on their communication devices. One rushed away while the other remained, weapon raised. Suddenly, alert! Something was happening. Olivia's heartbeat quickened, but her expression remained calm. Her father always said that in combat, the mind must control the body, not the other way around. An alarm began to sound, low and pulsing. The remaining guard touched a control on his wrist, activating a communication channel. The harsh clicking of his language filled the corridor. Olivia strained to hear what was happening. Her translator implant caught fragments. Breach in lower levels. Section 7 compromised. All units alert. A smile touched her lips briefly, before she suppressed it. Her father had arrived. In the command center, Drazkor watched the security feeds with growing concern. 3 sections of the base had reported intruders, but the cameras showed nothing. How can one human move so quickly between locations? He demanded. His security chief gestured at the display. The intruder alerts are coming from different sections simultaneously. It's impossible. Nothing is impossible for the ghost, Drazkor hissed. Double the guards on the prisoner. He will come for her. Already done, the security chief replied. We've also activated the interior defense grid. Drazkor studied the base schematic, trying to predict Jack Mason's next move. The human is creating distractions. He's probably already inside the main complex. Impossible, the security chief repeated. The outer perimeter has not been breached. Our sensors would have detected him. Would they? Drazkor pointed to a section of the schematic. Check the waste disposal system. Now. The security chief complied, bringing up feeds from that section. Everything appeared normal. See? Nothing, he said. Drazkor wasn't convinced. Send a team anyway. Jack moved through the detention level with deadly efficiency. 2 guards lay unconscious behind him, hidden in a storage closet. He approached a 3rd guard station where a Vextari operated the cell controls. The guard saw him a second too late. Jack's stolen Vextari weapon made a soft whooshing sound. and the guard slumped over the control panel. Jack accessed the system, locating Olivia's cell. His heart raced when he saw her on the monitor, sitting cross-legged on the floor. She appeared unharmed. He deactivated the energy field to her cell. "Olivia," he called softly. Her eyes snapped open, immediately alert. She stood in one fluid, motion slipping free of the restraints. "Dad, you took your time." Despite everything, Jack smiled. Traffic was bad. He tossed her the Vexitari weapon. "You remember how to use this?" Olivia caught it one-handed, checking the charge with practiced. "Ease on point and shoot, not complicated. We have about 3 minutes before they realize security is down in this section." Jack handed her a small device from his belt. "Put this on your wrist. It'll mask your life signs." As she attached it, alarms began blaring throughout the base. Jack's expression hardened. Change of plans. "They know I'm here." "So much for the stealthy approach," Olivia said, moving to the corridor. "What's the extraction plan?" "Hangar Bay 2. There's a ship prepped and ready." Olivia gave him a questioning look. "I had help," Jack explained briefly. "An old, acquaintance." "Mom's going to be mad you're reconnecting with old war buddies," Olivia said with a hint of a smile. "Your mother's going to be mad about a lot of things when we get home." Jack checked the corridor. "Ready?" Olivia nodded, her expression becoming serious. "Lead the way, Ghost." Father and daughter moved through the detention level like shadows, perfectly in sync. Anyone watching would have seen two predators, not one leading the other. They were halfway to the hangar when the entire base shook with a massive explosion. Smoke filled the corridors as Jack and Olivia pressed against a wall. The explosion had come from the direction of the hangar bay. "That wasn't me," Jack said, checking his tactical display. "Someone else is attacking the base." Olivia peered around. "The corner." "Friends of yours?" "I don't have friends." Jack adjusted his course on the display. "New plan. We head for the emergency shuttle bays on level 2. They moved quickly through the chaos, Vextari soldiers rushing past them toward the source of the explosion. Jack's combat suit helped them blend into the shadows, and most of the aliens were too focused on the attack to notice them. As they reached a junction, Jack held up his hand, signaling Olivia to stop. Ahead, a squad of Vextari guarded the lift that would take them to level 2. 6 guards, Olivia whispered. Heavy weapons. Jack nodded, his mind calculating angles and timing. I'll take the 3 on the left. You take the right. Got it. Olivia readied her weapon. On your mark. Jack didn't count down. He simply moved, and Olivia moved with him. Perfect synchronization born from years of training together. The Vextari never had a chance. 4 were down before they could raise their weapons. The 5th managed to fire a single shot that scorched the wall beside Jack's head. The 6th reached for an alarm panel, but Olivia's shot hit his hand, then a second shot took him down. Nice shooting, Jack said as they approached the lift. I had a good teacher. Olivia picked up one of the fallen Vextari's weapons, a larger model than what she had. You taught me to always upgrade when possible. The lift doors opened, revealing Drazkor and 4 elite guards. For a split second, both parties froze in surprise. Jack reacted first, pushing Olivia aside as he fired. 2 guards fell immediately. Drazkor and the others retreated back into the lift, the doors closing as they returned fire. He's heading up, Jack said, checking the lift's indicator. Probably to a private escape shuttle. Olivia pointed to a maintenance ladder beside the lift shaft. We can beat him there. They climbed quickly, Jack in the lead. 3 levels up, they emerged into a small hangar containing a sleek shuttle. Drazkor and his remaining guards were just entering from the opposite side. The ghost, Drazkor hissed, when he saw them. Finally we meet. You know who I am, Jack said, his voice cold. Then you know what happens next. Drazkor's black eyes gleamed. I think not. He gestured, and his guards aimed their weapons at Jack and Olivia. The famous ghost caught in my trap after all. I wouldn't be so confident, Olivia said, her weapon steady in her hands. You're not the first to underestimate my father. Ah, the offspring speaks. Drazkor seemed amused. So much like her father. The same arrogance. A new explosion rocked the base, closer this time. Alarms blared and emergency lights began flashing. Your base is under attack, Jack said. Surrender now and I'll let you live. Drazkor made that strange laughing sound. My base is expendable. What matters is that I have you both now. The perfect warrior and his genetic legacy. What makes you think we're perfect? Olivia asked, taking a small step to the side, creating distance between herself and Jack. Jack recognized the move. It was part of their training. Divide the enemy's attention. We have studied the ghost for years, Drazkor replied, his attention now split between them. Your combat records during the war, the impossible missions, the body count. If you studied me, Jack said, taking a step in the opposite direction from Olivia, then you know I never work alone. Confusion crossed Drazkor's face. What? The hangar door behind the Vextari burst open. Admiral Kate Wright stood there with a squad of Alliance Special Forces, weapons aimed at Drazkor. Alliance military, Kate barked. Drop your weapons. In the moment of surprise, Jack and Olivia moved as one. They fired simultaneously, taking down the remaining guards while diving for cover. Drazkor roared in fury, drawing a concealed weapon from his armor. He fired at Jack, the energy blast striking him in the shoulder, burning through his combat suit. Jack fell back, his weapon skittering across the floor. Drazkor turned his weapon toward Kate and her squad, forcing them to take cover. I will not be denied, the Vextari leader shouted, backing toward his shuttle. The ghost will... His words cut off as Olivia rose from behind a cargo container, her aim perfect. Her shot struck Drazkor's weapon, destroying it in his hand. The Vexitari looked at his injured hand in shock, then at the young human female advancing toward him, weapon steady. You forgot something important, Olivia said calmly. The ghost trained me. Her next shot took Drazkor down, not killing him but ensuring he wouldn't get up again. Kate and her team secured the hangar as Olivia rushed to her father's side. Jack's wound was painful but not life-threatening. How did you find us? Jack asked Kate as she knelt beside him. I put a tracker on your suit before you left, Kate replied with a small smile. Did you really think I'd let you do this alone? Jack tried to look annoyed but couldn't quite manage it. The Alliance approved this mission? Not exactly. Kate helped him to his feet. Let's just say some of us remember what we owe the ghost. Behind her stood a dozen Alliance soldiers, all veterans, of the Rigelian Wars. Men and women whose lives Jack had saved during the darkest days of the conflict. We need to move, Kate said. This base is coming apart. 2 days later, Jack sat in the medical bay of an Alliance cruiser, his shoulder bandaged. Olivia sat across from him, finishing her debriefing report. The Alliance is calling it a rescue operation against illegal arms dealers, she said, setting down her datapad. No mention of the Vextari's real plan. Good, Jack replied. The less people know about that, the better. Olivia studied her father. They wanted to clone you, make an army of ghosts. They didn't understand what makes a soldier, Jack said, quietly. It's not genetics or training alone, it's purpose. And your purpose was to find me, Olivia finished. Jack nodded, a rare smile softening his features. Always. The door opened and Kate entered. We're approaching Earth. Your wife is waiting at headquarters. She gave Jack a stern look. She's not happy. She never is when I have to be the ghost again, Jack said, standing with a wince. As they walked to the shuttle bay, Kate fell into step beside Olivia. Your combat performance was impressive. The Academy will be interested in that. Actually, Olivia said, glancing at her father, I've been thinking about special operations. Kate raised an eyebrow. Following in your father's footsteps? No, Olivia replied with confidence. Making my own. Jack listened to their conversation, pride evident in his eyes. The galaxy had feared the ghost for years. Now they would learn there was something even more formidable. The daughter he had raised.